So this is Dr. Suzanne Dakel, and she is a pediatric specialist who saw little Sharon Mathews a number of times. Broken bones, not even suspected when first shown this little girl, but MRIs revealed that. And as we've heard from the development of this young girl, she was already challenged in that way, growing up pretty much malnutrition, an issue there. So joining me now, I'm happy to say, is Carole Lieberman. Dr. Lieberman, the psychiatrist, forensic psychiatrist, is here. And the two cases we've been covering, Doctor, could not be more in need of your assistance. So let's start here with what we're talking about in this Wesley Mathews case, where we have an adopted father who is looking to save his life in terms of confinement in prison, because he's admitted that through his omission this child died. Break that down for me in terms of what's going through a defendant's mind who's done this kind of stuff.
Well, first of all, I think this case can be summed up in a sense by saying that the father he has buyer's remorse, and I say that keeping in mind that in fact he referred to his daughter, his adopted daughter, Sharon, as if she was a product. We have the lemon law, for example, with cars that you find out afterwards are lemons or, have defects. And he talks about his daughter having defects. I mean, it's obviously they adopted this daughter, they had high hopes, and when she came and she had all of these problems, which were not told to them in advance, the father, at least, could not deal with that, did not want a daughter with defects. And so he has, at the beginning, it seems like perhaps because she didn't have this failure to thrive as much at the beginning, she seemed to be growing at the beginning, the pediatrician just said. And then it was in recent months that she was stopping growing. And clearly that would reflect the emotional turmoil in the home, or the feeling that she wasn't being loved in the same way that she had been welcomed at the beginning.
Yeah, and this defect concept, we've been talking about that, and you think first, well, good for them. They went and adopted this child who was in a difficult situation in India. Great, but then when things didn't pan out, it went downhill very quickly. If you're on the jury, what's the mindset of jurors hearing this kind of story play out?
Well, to some degree, jurors can sort of understand how that might be, but on the other hand, once you make that commitment, and whatever it is that at the time that the child comes, you still should be committed to the child, and it doesn't in any way excuse anything that has happened since. In fact, it's really cold. And it's really, I was watching earlier the interviews of Wesley with the police, his early interviews. And he has this same attitude, this same sort of disconnected kind of attitude when he was when he was lying more at the beginning, and then when he was, theoretically telling the truth about what actually happened. But it was the same kind of monotone distance, like she was a thing. And there is I think the jury can see that and really see how heartless he was.
Yeah, lying, dehumanizing this poor little girl, not a good way to get the lightest sentence the jury might impose. So that's what this case is about. This is a penalty phase only case against Wesley Mathews for what ultimately resulted in the death of his 3-year-old adopted daughter. We're going to take a break. Got the doctor with me. We'll come back with more on the other side. Stay right where you are. Boy, I tell you, it sounds to me like the 6 or 7 months that this little girl, Sharon Mathews, was in the U.S., it was pure hell. This doctor is itemizing bumps, bruises, broken bones. Dr. Carole Lieberman is with me. She's a forensic psychiatrist, but the physical aspect of this case is just heartbreaking, Doctor. What do you think about what we're hearing and how it impacts the defense?
Well, what seems amazing about what she's saying is that this is a typical presentation of a child who's been abused, to have bone fractures in different states of healing. In other words, that they happened at various times. So I'm wondering, unless we're going to be hearing this soon, why didn't she call CPS on the family? That is a red flag for abuse. And the first thing that a doctor should do is to call Child Protective Services. And if she had done one would hope, unless it's going to turn out that she did call them, and Child Protective Services, lost the little girl in their system. But if she had called them, the girl might be alive today.
Yeah, we've certainly indicted those agencies in other cases. We're not even sure the doctor made that call in this particular case. Hey, doctor, I'm going to let you go now. I'll see you next time on the couch. But coming up, Linda Kinney-Bodden, you're staying on to be with my partner in crime. It's been great. We've had some amazing trials, which will continue. The coverage continues here on Law&Crime Network, so stay right where you are. I'm Michel Bryant. I'll see you a little bit later on toward the end of the week. In the meantime, you know where to find the best live trial coverage, gavel to gavel, coast to coast, right here on Law&Crime Network. Have a good day.